Thanks.
So the speaker is Sissy, Iona. So Sissy, Iona from HTML, we will speak about the EMODnet ingestion and safekeeping of marine datasets.
I pressed the button for the presentation mode, but okay. So, good morning. I am Sissy, Iona. Of course, we've been introduced yesterday, and I will present the EMODnet data ingestion service, in which I'm acting as scientific coordinator, while Dick Schaap from Maris is the coordinator of the activities and the whole service. So we heard these days about the diverse data types that exist and are measured, and we can see in this figure that there are many different data types that are collected by different platforms from at the sea, from the bottom up to the surface of the oceans, also from space, from satellites, or from lately from aerial means like drones. All these data are used for several purposes and activities, scientific research, modeling, environmental management, several economic activities, as well as for the European Union to implement its policies, its agendas, and other initiatives. And we know all that this data costs a lot. Based on previous European assessment reports, the collection by European organizations of the in-situ data costs about 1 billion euros, while for the remote satellite sensing data, we need 0.4 billion euros. So we understand that it's very crucial this data to be readily available, easily accessible, and of course reliable to be used for the end users and for any applications. Today, we know that there are several existing European marine data infrastructures like SeaDataNet, Eurobis, IGDI, ICS, Copernicus, of course, and others, which are already make a large amount of this data discoverable, accessible, and reusable, and feed the European Commission Marine Data Services, EMODnet, and CMEMS, although there are still a large amount of marine data that still are not and are not connected to this infrastructure. So the challenge here is to streamline the ingestion process from the data sources to the final repositories and data services. So EMODnet, in order to address this challenge, a few years ago, in 2016, initiated the EMODnet data ingestion. And today, EMODnet ingestion is a key pillar for data sharing among the marine community. And our overall goal is to facilitate the data flow and the ingestion process from data holders to the European infrastructures, data management infrastructures I mentioned before, that are feeding EMODnet. And in this way, we're making marine data open and fair as much as possible, of course. And the the approach to achieve that is that we are identifying new data holders from in the marine data collection landscape, both from public and private sector. And these data holders are not, those data holders that are not yet connected to their national focal points, or sometimes they are not aware how to do so. So we try to motivate and to support them to share their data by becoming part at the European data exchange. Also, we try to train them, to provide them guidelines, how to use the standards and the best practices that are used in EMODnet pathways and by EMODnet thematic services in order to achieve easier and faster integration of their data. Also, we are cooperating with several research projects, initiatives and networks who are collecting and managing marine data. And we are undertaking several promotional activities in order to raise awareness about the EMODnet ingestion offer. For example, webinars at specific targeted groups, such as the offshore renewable energy sector or marine aquaculture sector, other citizen science group and so on, who are willing to share data with EMODnet. So this is our network, the EMODnet ambassadors. Our network consists of 50 national data centers, specialized marine data centers, and all 7 EMODnet thematic coordinators. And all together, promote EMODnet, interact with data holders from multiple sectors in order and ensure that trustable data are ended into EMODnet network. So how we work, how the ingestion process works. So first of all, let me stress out that EMODnet ingestion is a free and open public service to everyone in order and ensures long-term stewardship, free distribution, and publishing. In this schema, you can see our simplified workflow and the pathways that we are applying from the external data providers towards EMODnet. It's important here to notice that the external data sources are not ingested directly from the data source to EMODnet services, but they pass first through the data centers, the experienced data centers, for further validation, standardization in terms of metadata and exchange format, also homogenization in terms of units and used codes, when the quality is according to specific standards, then these data centers push the data towards the European data management infrastructures that are feeding EMODnet. And the use in all these pathways of standards and best practices ensures that the data are becoming, as I said before, as much fair as possible. And you heard yesterday about the integration of all EMODnet thematics into the central portal. For ingestion, it is foreseen this year, where we will have the same functionalities, of course, under a new interface. We operate several services. The submission service is the key service of ingestion activity, and we follow a step-by-step approach in order to simplify the ingestion process as much as possible. And for that reason, we distinguish between 2 phases in the life cycle of a data submission. The first phase, the initial one, is that we publish the submitted data with their metadata as is. But in the second phase, we select data that fit for use to the EMODnet and EMODnet stakeholders' needs and further push them toward EMODnet. You can see in the diagram the online submission form, where extending use of vocabularies is used for platforms, instrument, parameters, whatever it's needed in order to have this to achieve ISO and Inspire compliance with the descriptive metadata. And also, please remember that in all this activity, the ownership of the data is transparent and clear throughout the ingestion process. And in this way, we give proper acknowledgements and credits to the originate organizations by tagging, for example, projects, query summary reports, organizations, and so on. And also, another important aspect is that we give proper credits and acknowledgement to the scientists who originate, who generate this data because the DOIs that are used for the data sets usually are connected with people's personal identifiers like ORCIDs. Another important service we operate is the viewing service, where we publish all the completed submissions, and the users can search, view, and download the data sets of their interests. And let me mention here that the viewing service has been fully integrated into the products catalog of the EMODnet central portal. Also, we are establishing automatic exchanges with other ingestion services at European and national level. And in this way, we make more data available to EMODnet, data that are coming from other repositories. A first very successful case is the connection with the CDataNet SINOE data citing publishing service we had yesterday. So when scientists want a DOI for the data set, we lead them to submit their data through SINOE and get a DOI for their data sets. Then we harvest automatically this data into the ingestion, and later on we push them to EMODnet. In this way, every time the data and the derived EMODnet products are used, the scientist gets the appropriate credits. And as you heard also since yesterday, we have already finalized the same exchange, automatic exchange, with the Crown Estate Marine Data Exchange, which is dealing with industrial survey data and mainly with offshore renewable energy data from such projects. And this data and BODC will select the appropriate data that fit for EMODnet, and also will select the appropriate license and will send them to ingestion. In a similar way, we work so far with SINOE. IFREMER is the one which is selected, which data will end there. Let me also say a few words about the real-time operational data streams facilitation that we make for the real-time data, and we do that in synergy with EMODnet Physics, because we establish direct data connections with monitoring operational stations. So we identify such sources, and we help them to connect and share the data with the European Operational Oceanography Data Exchange. We do that by enabling several tools and technologies to facilitate this exchange, like AirDAP, Data Access Broker, Sensor Web Enablement, and several web APIs. And the ingestion and the real-time ingestion flow is happening in an analogous way as the delayed exchange ingestion. Our progress so far, our results, we have more than 240 organizations from several sectors, academic, governmental, business, NGOs, etc. And in the left diagram, you see that we have a steady increase since the beginning, and there is potential for even larger growth through ongoing collaborations with citizen science group for marine litter data, also with stakeholders for coastal and offshore licensed data, where we will try to harmonize their data management procedures in order to make this more of this data public available and bring them to EMODnet. And also we will support European research projects with their implementation of their data management plans, and help them, provide them guidance to make their data fair and send them to EMODnet. So this is my last slide, just to show some successful use cases. We already had for that. cases, submissions both from private sectors or from public sectors or from Eurofleet's projects we had yesterday. And in all these cases, EMODnet Ingestion is acting as an online mailbox where data owners can submit their data with some additional metadata, of course, descriptive metadata for sharing with a wider community, marine community. So you can use this link, okay, in the top of the page and learn more how ingestion is working and how you can join us and share your marine data with EMODnet. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sissy. We would take one very short question, and I would already ask the next speaker to get ready, which is Ingrid.
Thank you for a lot of useful information. So I was looking at the timeline, the data ingestion process. What's the minimum timeline that, as a project, we would have to consider? Like once we, as a provider, data provider, submit it, and then going through the data centers and then being, published into the EMODnet.
This depends on the, of course, on the data type, because as you understand, some data that are coming almost ready to us from sensors like CTD or whatever, and of course, it's easy and fast to. First of all, to publish, as is in our catalog, online catalog, the viewing service. This can be done almost in few days, okay, because we have to check, of course, some metadata, but it can be done immediately. But at the second stage, for integration into EMODnet, it is needed some more time. It depends on the data type, as I said, their quality, and you have to consider that there are some marine data that need more process for the data centers, more validation, of course, or standardization, just to apply all these standards that are needed in this workflow. But in a general sense, we try to be as fast as possible, because this is our role to make this data as easy and as fast as possible. But as I said, it's heavily depend on the data source. But from our experience so far, it can be done in a few days if the data are in a proper condition.
Okay.
If you want to get, let's say, really level 2, so elaborated, you have to work yourself and try to adopt the standards that we have, because then it's very easy, let's say, to throw to the pipes. But if you provide us with, let's say, missing information, etc., it's not possible for us to reinvent that information. And that means there is then a process. We have to come back to you and say, can you please help us? And that's why we recently we had a protocol that has been published on the EMODnet portal, which gives a number of recommendations for the projects, especially to have internal data management in the projects, and that use that, let's say, to be in an early stage already apply the principles and the protocols and the standards, and then they have an output which can be much more smooth through the pipelines. Because you cannot expect, let's say, that we will, as data center, will do your work of your project, because otherwise it's a little bit like dump it and you take care of it. That's no way, no way. You understand?
We have you, isn't it? Okay, so our last